afternoon and welcome to RMU Live. Today is Monday, March 8th, 2021. I'm Austin Bechtold.
And I'm Colby Sherwin. Here's what's happening now. Yesterday, Pennsylvania had about 2,000 positive COVID-19 cases. This makes the total number of cases to be just under 100,000. As well, there were 31 deaths, which leaves the number of deaths statewide to be just over 24,000 deaths by COVID-19. Right now, there are 3 COVID-19 vaccines on the U.S. market are for adults. You must be 18 years or older to get the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and 16 or older for the vaccine made by Pfizer. But clinical trials are underway for younger children. Mandy Gaither has more on when we may see vaccines for the youngest Americans in today's Health Minute.
3 COVID-19 vaccines, millions of doses going into the arms of Americans. But these shots are not yet authorized for children.
Right now, we project that the clinical trials will give us information that by the time we get to the fall, that high school students will be able to be vaccinated.
Johnson & Johnson announced its plans to study their vaccine in adolescents, children who have a very low chance of becoming severely ill from COVID-19 were not part of the initial tests in the rapid approval process of the vaccines. The company's CEO says it will begin testing in people ages 12 to 18 and go down from there, and says Johnson & Johnson is likely to have a COVID-19 vaccine available for those under 18 by September. Both Pfizer and Moderna are already undergoing clinical trials studying their vaccines in adolescents. Moderna planning to study the vaccine in children 6 months to 11 years and what it called the near term. Pfizer says it's expecting to start vaccine studies in children ages 5 to 11 in the next couple of months.
Children who are elementary school, 6 to 12, that group of individuals, those individuals likely will not be able to get vaccinated until their trials are finished, which will likely be at the earliest, the end of this year.
In a recent letter to the White House, the American Academy of Pediatrics is urging the Biden administration to prioritize vaccine authorization for youth, saying, "We cannot allow children to be an afterthought when they have shared so much burden throughout this pandemic." For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Thank you, Mandy. Federal health officials released guidance Monday that gives fully vaccinated Americans more freedom to socialize and pursue routines and daily activities, providing a pandemic-weary nation a first glimpse of what a new normal may look like in the coming months. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention said people who are 2 weeks past their final shot may face very little risk if they visit indoors with unvaccinated members of a single household at low risk or of severe disease. The CDC also said fully vaccinated people can gather with those who are also fully vaccinated and do not need to quarantine or be tested after exposure to the coronavirus if they have no symptoms.
Around a week after receiving the Moderna vaccine, some vaccination recipients have developed a reaction to the shot. One person said that her reaction imitated ripping an adhesive bandage off. Janice Hendrickson said, quote, "It was a big rectangle, 2.5 to 3 inches long, maybe 1.5 to 2 inches wide." Hendrickson also said that the reaction lasted less than a week, but has garnered the nickname Moderna arm. It has not been reported with taking the Pfizer vaccine.
According to the RMU COVID-19 dashboard, since August 21st, there have been 7 students and 5 employees in isolation. There's also been 10 students and 5 employees in quarantine. Individuals in isolation have tested positive for COVID-19. Individuals in quarantine have shown symptoms or are awaiting test results or have been exposed to an infected person. The number of people in isolation and quarantine include both those doing in-campus housing and off-campus housing, or in the case of the employees, in their homes.
After initial outbreak of COVID-19 postponed the 2020 commencement ceremony for graduating seniors last May, Robert Morris University has announced plans to honor the class of 2021 on campus grounds. Robert Morris is planning to present the class of 2021 an official in-person ceremony for bachelor's and master's graduate students in the UPMC Event Center this coming May. The class of 2020 will also have a commencement ceremony in June, since the pandemic prevented any official on-campus ceremony for last year's graduating class. In an email sent to students from University President Dr. Chris Howard, RMU is preparing to hold 8 total in-person commencement ceremonies for this year's class, all taking place inside the event center, ranging from May 6th to May 8th. Make sure to check out RMUcentralmedia.com for more information regarding graduation plans.
Speaking of Robert Morris, Joe Walton Stadium is usually home to RMU Colonial fans, but during the pandemic, there have not been any fans. On March 1st, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf said fans will be allowed in the stands. Statewide stadiums are allowed to have 20% capacity, but whoever is the home team has to ensure safe, socially distanced seats for all. The RMU Center for Innovation and Outreach hosted a financial literacy workshop, Teens and Taxes, on March 3rd. This virtual workshop provided information and direct instruction on the details of filing taxes to high school students and families. This workshop was designed for students grades 9 to 12 and featured Gregory Kervich, Associate Professor of Accounting, or Maya Orlov, a member of SGA, a sophomore in accounting and finances. Materials were mailed to students in advance. If you are interested in hosting a workshop for another life soft skills, please contact RMU CIO Outreach Manager Sarah Moore at moores@rmu.edu.
The Women's Leadership and Mentorship Program, as well as the Center for Global Engagement here at RMU, is celebrating International Women's Day on March 8th. The groups are offering SEC credit for students to submit a short reflection on an inspiring international woman in the field that they are studying here on campus. To celebrate, WLMP and CGE will post reflections on social media and also encourages the RMU community to use the hashtag RMU Women's Day to support their efforts. The following day, on March 9th, WLMP will meet virtually from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. to discuss the book, The Choice, Embrace the Possible. The book, written by Holocaust survivor Dr. Edith Edgar, who has worked with victims of physical and mental trauma, will be hosted by Dr. Warren Barenfather, the director of the Holocaust Center for Pittsburgh. To reserve your spot in this discussion, RSVP on Revolution for more information. Now, we're going to toss it over to Nathan Breisinger. There he is now. Nate, RMU sports had a majority of the sports on the road this weekend, including a big CHA tournament for RMU women's hockey.
Yeah, you're right, Austin. A lot of teams were on the road, but there was some reason to celebrate. While it has been a grueling season, it was time for celebration over the weekend as the Robert Morris women's hockey team exercised their demons to capture the College Hockey America Championship. After dispatching RIT on Thursday 4-0, the Colonials then avenged their 2020 CHA title game loss in overtime to Mercyhurst on Friday by taking down the Lakers 3-2 in overtime, thanks to a game-winning goal from Maggie Burbage. On Saturday night in Erie, Pennsylvania, it was a moment the senior class has been waiting for and what dreams are made of as the Colonials knocked off the Syracuse Orange 1-0. Jillian Thompson scored the lone goal for RMU as Reagan Kirk backstopped the Colonials, making 36 saves in the shutout. It was utter elation when the final buzzer rang, marking their first CHA championship since 2017, after dropping the last 3 title games. With an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament, the Colonials are set to take on Northeastern in the first round back up in Erie next Monday. Also in action this weekend, the women's lacrosse team was aiming to sweep their Indiana road trip on Saturday. On Saturday, the Colonials took on number 4 Notre Dame, but were dismantled 16-2. The following day, RMU looked to rebound against Butler, and that's exactly what they did, beating the Bulldogs 16-10. Cleo Kerr netted 6 goals in their victory as the Colonials are 5-1 to start a season for the first time since 2014. Also on the road this weekend, the softball team looked to maintain their perfect season against Howard. The Colonials opened the weekend in Washington, D.C. with a 12-2 win over the Bison, but proceeded to drop the next 3, bringing their record to 5-3 on the young season. Now focusing on some home cooking, the men's soccer team returned to the South Point Fieldhouse to take on Purdue Fort Wayne. The Colonials came away with their first ever Horizon League win after Miller Mason netted the lone tally for RMU in a 1-0 win. Mike Zolnerchek made 4 saves in the winning effort. It was an exciting weekend all around for Robert Morris Sports, but that's all I have for now. Let's send it back over to the desk.
To stay up to date on all things news going around the Pittsburgh area and Moon campus, as well as A&E, check out RMU Sanctuary Media on Twitter at RMU Sanctuary Media. And for everything RMU Sports, check out Colonial Sports Network and also on Twitter at RMU_CSN.
3 separate shootings resulted in 2 men being fatally wounded and a juvenile individual being injured late Friday night and into early Saturday morning, with the first shooting occurring as police found a young male shot in the back of his left leg and taken to the hospital. Later, just past midnight, 35-year-old Christopher Lee Metzger suffered multiple gunshot wounds and was dead on arrival of investigators. The final shooting occurred 2 hours later, with 30-year-old Julian Carter also dead at the scene with a gunshot wound to the head. No suspects have been charged in Metzger's shooting, but 29-year-old Christopher Robert Papalia was arrested and charged in killing Carter. Police were called to the scene of a shooting in the 200th block of Oak Hill Drive Saturday evening as multiple cars and one building were hit with gunfire. The shooting in Terrence Village resulted in one man being shot and later taken to the hospital in stable condition. Police are continuing to investigate the cause of the shooting.
Well, it was a warm one today, and John Blinn is outside to give us an update on the weather. John?
Thank you, Colby and Austin. And as you can see, it's looking like springtime out here today, but the wind that's coming by is a little bit chilly. But when we look at those temperatures from today's forecast, you can see that the high is 54 degrees and the low is only 40 degrees. That was the high that we were seeing last week, so it's already warming up way more than it did last week, and spring is on its way. No chance of rain there today. Moving on to the hourly, at 3 p.m. you're going to see 52 degrees with the sun peeking out behind some clouds. 6 p.m. 48 degrees, same thing. And at 46, of course, the sun's going to sink down by 9 p.m. And by that point, it's going to be a little bit chillier, but not too bad. Moving on to tomorrow's forecast, that high jumps all the way up to 61 degrees, and that low is going to sit there at 38 degrees. So your range getting a little wider there, but the temperature should overall be warmer tomorrow when you go out. Chance of precipitation tomorrow, only 10%. So it's looking like for these next couple days, we're going to have a somewhat chilly, but rather sunny week. We'll be back to look at the 5-day forecast later in the show.
Thank you, John. Coming up after the break, the University of Pittsburgh is starting to loosen some of their restrictions in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic. And also, we will have an update on the upcoming George Floyd investigation case and trial.
Stay with us on RMU Live.
Roll over. Chance high five. All right. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. And your mother and... I am totally a hat person. Right, guys? Thanks for being honest. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
STEM is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
Welcome back to RMU Live. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many Pennsylvanians have lost their jobs, and many are wondering what Governor Tom Wolf is doing to help with that. The Wolf administration has released a plan to get Pennsylvanians back to work called Back to Work PA. It is a new plan that Governor Wolf says, quote, in addition to supporting people most significantly impacted by the pandemic, it will also address inequities, support talent development, and focus on high-quality, well-paying jobs that can support a family, end quote. On Saturday, it will mark 1 year since the United States shut down due to COVID-19. Some school districts have not reopened yet. Pittsburgh Public Schools have not gone back to in-person classes at all. Some are pushing for them to get their students back in the classroom. Jamie Baxter, Education Policy Director of Allies for Children, an organization focused on the well-being of children, said, quote, "We definitely think it is worth it to send students back, no matter when the timeline would be," end quote.
The University of Pittsburgh has shifted into a lower risk classification regarding the effects of the pandemic on the main campus this week. Pitt, Maine will move from elevated risk posture to guarded risk posture at 7 p.m. this coming Thursday. In-person classes are allowed to resume, except for classes deemed as large lectures, with gatherings being capped at 250 people, and face masks still required both inside and outside of campus buildings.
The Allegheny County Democratic Committee endorses state Republican Ed Gainey for mayor of Pittsburgh on Sunday, giving the incumbent Bill Peduto's primary challenger for the institutional stamp of approval that has been labeled a rite of passage by its longtime members. Gainey, who is also a committee member, won the endorsement 362 to 224 over Tony Marino, a retired police officer. Speaking of Ed Gainey, State Rep Ed Gainey wants a state ban on high-capacity semi-automatic rifles. He's behind a bill that is banned buying the transfer building or using that type of weapon. Gainey points to the use of guns like the AR-15 in many mass shootings, including the Tree of Life massacre.
The Biden administration's COVID-19 relief plan is one step closer to becoming a reality. The $1.9 trillion package passed in the Senate along party lines on Saturday. But it has to clear one more hurdle before it reaches the White House. John Loring reports.
President Joe Biden says the American Rescue Plan will help the U.S. rebound from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Everything in this package is designed to relieve the suffering and to meet the most urgent needs of the nation and put us in a better position to prevail.
The bill had no support from Republicans in the Senate.
When people find out what's in this bill, they're going to lose a lot of any enthusiasm they may have for it right now, because this was not really about coronavirus in terms of the spending. This was a liberal wish list of liberal spending.
On Tuesday, the House of Representatives votes on whether to approve the Senate's changes to the bill, including the removal of a provision that called for raising the minimum wage to $15 per hour.
The conversation is going to turn to how we tackle the minimum wage, and the president is looking forward to working with Congress to determine the best way to do it.
If the bill passes through the House, it then goes to the president, who will sign it into law with little to no backing from the GOP.
This is the most progressive piece of domestic legislation in a generation. This was never about getting people back to work or kids back to school or the disease behind us. That's where it should have been focused.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Thank you, John. Under the Senate's plan, individuals earning more than $80,000 and couples earning more than $160,000 are not eligible for stimulus payments. Individuals earning less than $75,000 a year and married couples earning less than $150,000 will get $1,400 per person, including children. Adult dependents, including college students, are now eligible for payments.
On Monday, jury selection will begin in the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Shelvin. Shelvin is charged with second-degree murder in the death of George Floyd. Floyd died in May while in police custody. His brother talked to CSN Sarah Snyder just days before the trial.
The trial for Derek Chauvin, the police officer that the world saw on videotape kneeling on George Floyd's neck before George Floyd died, that trial begins on Monday with jury selection. Now, in the lead up to that trial, I was able to speak with Benjamin Crump, the attorney for the family of George Floyd, and Philonise Floyd, who talked about what he thinks the jury should pay the most attention to in this trial.
The video is enough. There's nothing else to talk about. You can make your judgment off of that, because Shelvin showed you he was the judge, the jury, and the executioner all at once, right then and there, when he took my brother's soul from his body.
As the trial is set to begin and the emotions are high there in Minneapolis, the Floyd family says they do have something to celebrate. A bill in George Floyd's name has passed the House. That bill is to try to put some limits on policing. For example, taking away no-knock warrants and trying to limit chokeholds. But in the interim, they know that this is going to be a very heavy fight to get it through the Senate, but they are very proud to see that that bill did pass the House. Indeed, some of them are going to be here in Washington to be able to listen to what happens with the House on Thursday, but it turned out that Congress was completely shut down and emptied out because of potential threats after the group QAnon and the believers of QAnon were expected to rally outside. But they are still extremely happy to see that this bill has gone one step further. The bill was introduced by Congresswoman Karen Bass.
Thank you, Sarah. Chavin is one of 4 former Minneapolis police officers charged in Floyd's death. The trial is set to begin March 8th with jury selection. It will be broadcasted live for those who are not able to attend. Well, Nate will be back in the sports studio to give us an update on all things Pittsburgh sports.
Make sure to stay tuned here on RMU Live.
Roll over. Chance high five. All right. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. And your mother and... I am totally a hot person. Right, guys? Thanks for being honest. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
STEM is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
Welcome back to RMU Live. A man is in critical condition after another is expected to recover after gunfire was exchanged between 2 vehicles near Route 28 in Sharpsburg. State police say that on Saturday afternoon, troopers were requested by Allegheny County 911 dispatchers to search for a vehicle that was possibly involved in a shooting. According to police, one victim was last listed in critical condition while the other is expected to recover.
TSA screeners found a gun Saturday morning inside a passenger's purse at Pittsburgh International Airport Saturday morning. The main security checkpoint revealed a loaded .380 handgun and alerted Allegheny County Police. The FBI was also notified, but the individual was able to fly due to possessing a valid concealed carry permit, accidentally leaving the gun in her purse while passing through security. Police have the firearm in their possession, and there is no expectation that charges will be brought upon the passenger. Former Steeler and current Browns wide receiver Ryan Switzer asked for prayers on social media over the weekend as his 9-month-old son Christian contacted COVID-19. Christian woke up in his own blood on Saturday morning, forcing him into surgery. Switzer and his wife Gabby said that the GI specialist working with Christian found several different areas of bleeding while in surgery. Christian is currently in quote stable and resting after his surgery. Well, Nate Breisinger joins me once again on the latest Pittsburgh sports. And Nate, even though their season is not going on, the Steelers once again are stealing the Pittsburgh sports headlines.
Yes, they have. The Pittsburgh Steelers were in contract negotiations once again with quarterback Ben Roethlisberger as they try to shrink his contract cap hit. The Steelers finally completing negotiations with Ben shrunk his cap hit from $41 million down to $25 million for 2021. This now opens up room for negotiations to start with other Steelers free agents. And all eyes now turn to Juju Smith-Schuster, who has hinted at a potential return to the Steelers. While the Steelers work towards their 2021 season, the Pittsburgh Penguins continue to build towards their postseason. The Pens have gone 3-1 over their past 4 games with a convincing win over the New York Rangers last night 5-1. The Pens saw 12 different players hit the score sheet in their win over the Rangers as Kasperi Kapanen registered 3 points, which has been a positive sign for this team. In other news regarding the Penguins, they have officially partnered with TikTok. It's the first direct connection between a social media app and a professional hockey team. It's definitely an interesting move, especially with the history of TikTok with Pittsburgh sports teams. But the Pens look to grow their brand through the highly popular app. Down in Florida, the Pirates have continued their spring training season schedule, winning 3 games over their past 7 contests. Gregory Polanco has had a solid start to his spring ball, hitting 2 home runs along with 8 runs batted in. Back in the Burgh, but up in Oakland, the Pitt Panthers completed another disappointing regular season. But Justin Champagnie was named first team All-ACC, marking the first Pitt player to earn the first-time accolades in the ACC. The Panthers will start ACC tournament play against Miami tomorrow at 2 p.m. That's all I have for sports today. Let's send it back over to the desk.
Thank you, Nate. Coming up after the break, Big John Blinn will be back outside to be able to give us this week's weather.
Stay with us on RMU Live.
Hey, Dad. I need your help asking Jessica to prom.
Of course. Love is like the ocean. You have to tread the waters.
Dad, that's not the kind of help I needed. Hey, Jessica. Will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. This guy, this warrior, will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
I was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie, nailed it. We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's put a ride home.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Welcome back to RMU Live. John Blinn is back outside to give us an update for the weather. John?
Thanks again, guys. So just to reiterate, we're looking at tomorrow's forecast. It's looking like for the first time in a while, we're going to hit the 60s with the high being 61 degrees and the low being 38 degrees, meaning that for the first time in a while, we may be right on the verge of spring. Moving on to the 5-day forecast now, it's looking like that sun that we mentioned earlier that will take place earlier on this week will start to trickle out by the time we hit the weekend. So Wednesday, we're going to have a little bit of remainder of that sun, 62 degrees. Thursday is the transition day into that rain as we start to see some clouds there, but that 62 degrees Fahrenheit is going to stick around. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that's when we're going to get that rain, but the high temperatures are going to stay, at least on Friday and Saturday, high compared to what we've seen at least, and on Sunday it's going to start to cool down, begin to start pushing in the 30s area yet again. So hopefully enjoy the nice weather while you're out. It's a little chilly out with that wind like I mentioned earlier, but hey, in a couple days we might reach the 60s, so that'll be great to experience. Be sure to enjoy the nice weather today and tomorrow. We'll send it back to the desk.
Thank you very much, John. Colby, it seems like we're starting to get to that typical spring weather where It's nice one day, but the next couple days, it just rains.
Yeah, that's the thing with March. It's usually not great weather, but it seems like we have a nice couple of days of sun. I'm thinking of going outside, playing some football. What about you?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try to enjoy the nice weather that we get. Really just walking from class to class and not freezing my face off. It's also going to be nice, as we've seen recently. But for everyone here at RMU Live, thank you for watching, and we will see you next Monday.